Hello, my name's Christian Toms-Arbel, and I'm really happy to be on this podcast with Teresa. Thank you very much.
Well, we're excited for you to be here. So today on One Final Twist, we are welcoming a debut author, and everybody knows I'm kind of a sucker for debut authors. I love it. And you clearly did not come to play and make friends. You jumped right in head first. We've got Christian Toms-Arbel. Did I say that right?
Yep,
Arbel.
thank you. Perfect.
And who you've burst onto the psychological horror crime fiction scene like full force with the Mannequins. Um, it is dark. It is gritty. It is I. This is like. Let me just say this: you really can't, and Scott knows this too. You can't really surprise me. Like, I mean, I'm
Okay.
here for it. Nothing really like grosses me out. Like, I really like it. But this one had secrets and clues and little pieces all through the book. And the Mannequins introduces Detective Cora Steele, and I will just tell you secretly, I hope there are more. And I hope there's a lot more. I can't wait to see what she does.
Well, Teresa, I'm happy to tell you and anyone that's read my book, the sequel is nearly finished.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so there are going to be plenty more. Don't worry.
So, kind of give us a spoiler free overview of the Mannequins.
Okay, so the Mannequins is about, it's a dual narrative. In present day, it's focusing on rookie detective Cora Still, who's facing her own prejudices in life, in working in a male-orientated police department in rural Shropshire. And she's been handed a case by Chief Inspector Hemingway, who has faith in her. Now, a body has been discovered in Shropshire in a very sleepy town where there is a zero murder rate, and she has been handed this case and taken control of it. At the same time, there is some biographical chapters that go into the history and the upbringing of our serial killer. So I wanted to, with the Mannequins, I wanted to look at, instead of just somebody going around indiscriminately killing people and describing what they do, I wanted to look at the why they become that. So for a series of very hard-hitting and extremely gritty chapters, it looks at the serial killer's upbringing and what turned him into the monster in present-day life. So it flicks in between these biographical chapters and present day, where the protagonist is struggling with her own mental health as well, because she's just come off a recent grooming gang case where she's got extreme PTSD because she saw and heard some really difficult things trying to solve a grooming gang case in the local community. So she's battling her own inner demons as well as trying to catch this deranged serial killer who is stalking the hills of Shropshire, abducting and murdering young women. There you go.
Right.
Spoiler free.
Yeah, that was good. So writing the psychological part. So for me as a reader, as I was going, I got less mad at the serial killer and more upset at the situation. How did how did the research for that, like, and I don't know if your degree is in, I know I didn't, what I found, I didn't see anything about it, but
Yeah.
how did researching that work out to especially to bring the reader into that emotional part?
That's a really good question, Therese. And I think the first part of it, what I became fascinated with, is it's very interesting how society over the last few years has become obsessed with true crime. Particularly these docuseries. You think of the Jeffrey Dahmer and then the Ed Gein one that have come out in the last 3 or 4 years, Monsters, right? Everyone is really obsessed with true crime documentaries. And I thought to myself, wouldn't that be lovely? Lovely is not the right word. Wouldn't it be nice to put it into a book of fiction and to look at the serial killer's upbringing? So for me, the way that I researched that, my degree is in creative writing, so is my master's. I don't have any criminology background, but what I did was I just spent an enormous amount of time reading, listening, and watching true crime, because true crime documentaries particularly do a fantastic job of showing the upbringing of some of these monsters and what happens to them as children. And it is a widely accepted view, and a view that I hold quite firmly, that monsters are made, they are not born. I do not believe children are born evil. Even Adolf Hitler was not born evil in my eyes. People are created, and psychosis is created in society. And I think most of the research I've done has pointed to that. Yes, there are some outliers, but the vast majority of serial murderers have been the subject of really awful physical, mental, and sexual abuse. And that's something that I wanted to highlight in my book.
Is there something in particular that you would want the reader to know about Cora? And so for me too, like again, this here we go down this series part, and one of the things that I like about a series is getting to know my characters who come back a little better every time. But what do you want the readers to know about Cora?
Think of what I want the readers to know about Cora that I focused on quite a lot, which I hope you probably picked up on, Teresa, is that she is really not confident, and she is constantly second guessing herself, and she is constantly thinking, "Am I good enough? Am I able to do this?" She wants this. She wants this case, but as soon as she gets it and it's in her hands, and she thinks, "Oh my God, I'm going to do it," the doubt starts to gnaw away at her, and it's a constant battle of, can I do this? Am I good enough? And I think that is something that is reflective of just people in general. We've all been in that situation where we want something and then we give it and we start doubting ourselves, whether that's a job or, whether that's a hobby or whatever, writing, for example. And I think for me, watching her self doubt dissipate and her confidence grow, even though I wrote the character, characters become like real people to you. And even though I wrote the character, it was actually a beautiful thing to make her get more confident.
I'm excited to see where she goes. I mean, it is Cora is great. She's a great lead. Does your wife read her to make sure that like that's one thing that, and it's kind of a like a little thing that I notice if a male writer
Mm.
messes up how a woman's going to react. So who checks for you to make sure that like yep, that's what a woman would say.
Well, I really appreciated it, Teresa, because you messaged me a few months ago, and I've had all sorts of feedback from this book, constructive, praise, all sorts. But there's something that you picked up on, which I really appreciated. And, you asked me, why did you write from a woman's perspective? And first of all, that's a really good question. And it's a hard one. And I think mostly I did it because I wanted a challenge. I wanted to challenge myself and be like, right, let's try and write from another perspective that I'm not familiar with. And second of all, my wife was my biggest proofreader. And I think you mentioned, it doesn't sound like it's typically a man writing from Cora's perspective. And I can definitely thank my wife for that. I mean, every single sentence that I wrote, I read out to her. And the beauty of having, a husband or a wife that can tell you really, candidly, whether it's good or bad, or what you should keep, what you should take out. So yeah, having her to proofread and go over my work and tell me, a lot of the time she would be like, she wouldn't say that. She wouldn't do that. So yeah, that was definitely the first point of defense before I sent it to anyone.
So in writing this, and it does get kind of dark,
Yeah.
did you ever get to a point in the writing process where you said, "Whew, that's too much. I got to back this darkness out a little bit"?
Another brilliant question. So as a person, I'm actually a really positive and optimistic and quite a light-hearted person. And my personality, I'm not somebody that lives in a dark realm. But what's really bizarre with me, Teresa, is I've been writing for many years. I've got a degree and master's in creative writing. And in that time, I wrote so many genres: sci-fi, fantasy, romance, erotica, you name it, I tried it. And I didn't quite feel at home, to be honest with you. Like for my master's, for example, I wrote a 40,000 word novella, and it did okay grades wise. All my friends said they loved it. I absolutely hated it. It was a fantasy, young adult fiction. I hated it. And I was like, I'm never writing that again. And I put it away in the attic. And then that actually had a really negative effect on me. I stopped writing for about a year because I was feeling really lost, and I was feeling like I didn't have something to connect to. I didn't have my genre. And then I thought, "Do you know what? I've always been interested in reading crime fiction. So let me give it a go." And then the words just started pouring out of me. And I realized that I am good at writing dark fiction and writing things that are gritty and, yeah, dark books. But there are times, I'm not going to lie, particularly in some of those biographical chapters about the antagonist, that I would put the pen down and I'd read back over it and I'd think, Jesus Christ, that's a lot. So, yeah.
When you
So
were researching this, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you looked into serial killers, and was there anything that stood out that just shocked you?
That's a really good question, actually. I think that what stood out to me is there was one paper that I read that is a little bit more niche knowledge than the average serial killer's abuse. And it was talking about that there are millions of children that are abused and have terrible childhoods, right? And they don't end up being serial killers. Yeah, they can live very normal lives. There are millions of people that go through terrible things every day, but they turn out normal and functioning members of society. But this one paper was saying, this one bit of research, I can't remember who it was by, but it was saying what it was looking at the idea of psychosis, right? What turns somebody into a serial killer? What is that little bridge between somebody that was abused and goes on to live a relatively normal life, relatively, or somebody who was abused and turns into a serial killer? And what this paper said is it was analyzing these main serial killers in America and the UK. And what it said is in their childhoods, a lot of these children, they didn't have anyone to validate or recognize them or give them anything. So a lot of these kids were completely lost. They had no role models. So mum and dad are out of the picture. You know, they aren't a role model. Brothers and sisters are being abusive or not in the picture. But they didn't have even a teacher, a friendly, someone who works at the grocery shop, you know, a neighbor, an auntie, a cousin. A lot of people, a lot of serial killers or people that develop psychosis, they don't have a single positive role model in their life. And some research says that could be an explanation to why psychosis can develop.
so between the UK and here
Yeah.
in the crime fiction, like how especially women are like obsessed with it. We love our crime fiction
Yeah.
podcast and all that stuff. How do you feel like your book is received between the two places?
Do you know, I've been really blessed and I've been really pleased with the reception, how my book's received. I'm a debut author, I'm an indie author, so I'm going at it alone. And I've had some incredible reviews. You know, at the moment, I've got nearly 50 reviews on Goodreads. My book sold nearly 300 copies. And I'm having wonderful messages every day from people buying the book and messaging me. And you know, I'm 32 years old. This is my first novel, and I will be publishing books for the rest of my life. So, as a first debut novel, you know, I write for the love of writing. I'm not naive enough to think I'm going to quit my job tomorrow. I absolutely love writing. It's intrinsic to me, and when I don't do it, I feel for a couple of weeks, I feel a deep sense of longing and passion. So, I don't write for the sake of making money. I'm writing to share my stories with the world. So as a debut novel, I've built a readership. I've got an incredible ARC team around me, including yourself, Teresa, who has helped push my book forward. And yeah, I feel really blessed. Some of the people I've met, yourself included.
So tell us, we've talked, I did a little research, and there was a little bit of a publishing scam that
No.
you were involved in your past. So kind of tell me what happened and how that changed you. Do you want to stay indie? Do you want to try and find a publisher? Like push us in, kind of straighten all that up for me.
Yeah, I had an absolutely devastating experience. So I finished writing the Mannequins. And as you do, you start sending it out to literary agents and to publishing companies. And this British company called L.R. Price Publications, they reached out to me and they said, "We love your first 3 chapters. Can we receive the whole manuscript?" And I thought, oh my God, this is it, right? The excitement was building. And I went on their website. I started reading through and everything seemed legit. They had testimonials, they had videos of authors doing author signings, they had books, they had some books on Amazon, some books on Waterstones. And I was so blinded by, they want to sign me, that I went, let's do it. Now, they were a vanity press. For your listeners who don't know what a vanity press is, I'm sure you do, Teresa, but vanity publishing is paying to publish. Now, for any aspiring authors that are listening to this, if there's anything you take away from this, do not pay to publish, ever, 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 right? I wish I had listened to that and people actually told me that. I didn't want to hear it, because they were so good at making me think. They said, the publishing industry is really convoluted these days, and it's very expensive. You put in £1,500 and we'll cover the rest. We'll meet you halfway. We'll promote your book. We'll do this. They promised me the world. They said they've got a team of editors. They made me sign a contract and sign my rights over to them. And I was excited. I was like, right, let's do this. I sent the manuscript over. A few months go by. Nothing. Now I'm waiting for edits to come back. 3 months have gone by. And there's something really wrong here. I send an email to the chief editor, and he replies a very abusive email back, and quite threatening. And I thought, oh my God. I wait a few more months, nothing. I start calling them. And one day I open up my laptop, type in their company's name, and this Canadian journalist has created a website, really good, called Writers Beware, writersbeware.com. And this amazing journalist has created this website to tell all indie authors about scamming websites. As her little side hustle is going around and exposing these corrupt companies. So if you're ever in doubt, Writers Beware is where to go. And the first article was, LR Prize Publications are a scam outfit and are taking people. They've taken £250,000 worth of money in the last year and haven't published a single book. And to be honest with you, Teresa, I just broke down in tears, because at this point I'd been waiting a year. So the book took me 4 years to write, a further 6 months to edit. And then I'd sent it off thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have a finished item in my hands. And they didn't. I just broke down in tears. I was absolutely devastated. And they didn't even open my book, the manuscript, didn't even read a single word of it. So what the story gets even more crazy. I joined people's Facebook group, just average people around the UK and some in America, who started digging into this company. And it turns out this company used to be legitimate. That's why it was hard to prove as illegitimate. And at some point they got in over in their head and they started stealing people's money. So they had books out there in Waterstones and Amazon, but they stopped printing books and just taking the 1,500. And then it turns out that the chief editor hired his son, and his son was a disgraced ex-copper who was fired from the police service and given 2 years in prison for trying to entrap a minor online. And it got really dark and weird. Like the guy, was like a sex offender, basically. And they went on. So then this all came to light. They went underground. The company was liquidated. And thankfully, I got the rights to my book back and I got the money back, because my bank said it was a scam and they could prove it was a scam. So I got the money back for that. So yeah, I dodged a bullet, if I'm honest with you. I dodged a real bullet there.
That's almost like a true story. You could write that. You could write that whole experience.
I think I should, Teresa. I think I should definitely turn it into a story.
Yeah, put Cora in on that, make it a little darker. There could be some body skinned. I don't know. Just get her right in there.
I'm glad you know my MO, Teresa. I'd have to darken it up a little bit, but yeah. No, it was a really difficult time for me, but I learned a huge amount from it. And I learned, again, anyone listening who is thinking of going into the publishing industry, don't pay for anything and do your due diligence. I thought I did my due diligence by reading a few testimonials. It turns out the Google reviews they paid for, and they were such professional scammers. They paid actors to do video testimonials to say how amazing the company was. So some of these scams are so good, they'll get you.
As far as an influencer, I get messages daily from scammers wanting to hook me up with XYZ company and want me to use WhatsApp to communicate with them as opposed to email and all that. And I know better, thankfully. But it's crazy what people will do, what lengths they'll go to crush somebody's dreams and take their money. That there's a special place in hell for people like that.
You've taken the words straight out of my mouth, and I've actually used that sentence over the last few years quite a few times because you're right. It's a particularly vicious scam, isn't it? Like, if I scam you from trying to say, I'll do your plumbing and I don't do a good job and I take a few £100 off you, yeah, that's bad. But to promise you will publish something, which, as you know, to an author, that's their baby, isn't it? That's their creation. That's their vulnerability, their blood, sweat, tears, their very soul poured into that book. To say, we'll publish that, take money off you, and then never publish it and take your money. I don't know how they sleep at night, people like that.
That's Scott and I both, when we arc read, we take, and I always say, this is your book, baby. You've trusted it with me. I'm going to treat it with respect and do the best I can with that baby. Like, and it's one thing, and we've noticed it too with authors that we read for. You've got to find your people. And if you don't find your people, you're just swimming up the creek, like you're swimming upstream. But once you find your people, it should fall into place, and you know who your readers are and who will really read and review. And it's tough. I mean, I can't imagine. I guess I can kind of imagine how a debut author, like how hard it is. Like you said, 4 years writing it, and then you have to do this. It is such a battle for you guys.
And I realized, Teresa, it's been a real learning curve for me. So at the same time, I just mentioned, because this has been a big deal, especially for any aspiring writers who may be listening, I have started a brilliant online writing community called Author Chat, because I felt completely overwhelmed by the indie author world, right? What you've got to do from formatting your book to upload to Amazon, and then the gigantic marketing task ahead. So myself and my friend, we co-founded an online writers group, and where we have writers from America, Sweden, England, Netherlands, all over the world, who have a Discord channel, completely free, but it's invite only. And the whole idea is writers go on there just to help each other. So we're basically trying to combat AI, right? So instead of bloody typing into Google and AI, how do I do this? Ask a human being. And it's been an absolute breath of fresh air. We've got 70 members on there. And every time I've needed to ask a question about publishing or marketing or formatting or anything to do with the indie world, I put a question on there, and we've got authors on that have published 8 or 9 books, who have been doing it for so long. And the wealth of knowledge that these other people have been giving me and I've been giving them has been just absolutely amazing. Really great. So it's incredible, the community out there, if you tap into the right people.
And also for your ARC readers and beta readers, Teresa and I, we never charge to read a book. I'm not doing it. There are a lot of people out there that charge, but we don't. And any independent author that entrusts their book with us, we're going to read it, and we're going to do our best to help push that book out there. If it's something that I don't like, I just put it on the shelf and we move on. I don't talk bad. And Teresa's the same way. We may talk to each other about what works for us or what doesn't work, but we never speak publicly in a negative connotation about a book. There's just too many good books out there. And I haven't finished yours yet. So far, what I've read, I do like to read.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that. And Scott, why do you think there is such a rise of people getting on to Instagram and TikTok and bad-mouthing books and being quite nasty? It seems like it's got worse in the last few years.
It really does. And like I noticed a post a few days ago, somebody posted titles of the books that they didn't like and listed every book from 2025 that they didn't care for with the title and the author. Now, I don't know whether they tagged the author or not, but to me, that's just not appropriate. If you want to, I don't do number reviews anymore. I simply put out my thoughts, what I thought of this book. 99% of the time, I'm positive. If I don't like a book, I'll still put what I thought, but not negative. that's what I do. But like I said earlier, I do 99%. And I guess people think negative is gets them more attention, and it causes drama. But I that's the only thing I can figure.
I think you might be right, Scott. And I think we've got, I don't know if you've got a similar term over there for it, but it's clickbait, isn't it?
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah, that's what it is.
Clickbait. Yeah, it's like if I go on and I do a rant and I say how shit something is, it's more likely going to get more views. And the depressing truth is it will, but it's
Yeah.
you're still being nasty.
Yeah, this is true.
It absolutely, you said it right. It's clickbait. People just they want the likes. And that's, I don't know. I got my feelings hurt one time, and then I clicked to make a comment, and I was like, oh, I have to stop.
Yeah.
So I didn't. But I almost bit right into something a man said that just was like this most ridiculous thing ever. And you have to, I mean, it is, that's what it is. It's clickbait. And I think that's why people like to say bad things. They want to start. I had a DNF last night. I messaged Scott. I said, I can't finish it. This is the first one. I didn't have any last year. I didn't finish. It's just over. I'm over it now. Like,
Yeah, and and that's okay.
Of course it is. Yeah,
You
we've all
know,
got different tastes, haven't we? And
but
some
we
books
never
just don't chime with you.
and there's no point in putting that out there because chances are other people are going to like that book, you know. And it just may that one may not work for her and it may work for me. I haven't read it. I don't know. But you know, that's just that's just how we work. We don't go negative. There's no point in it.
Well, I really like both your positive outlook on reviewing. I think that's refreshing to hear.
Well, thank you.
tell me a little bit about your teaching. So I don't understand, like we have middle school, high school, college, and I know you
Mm.
don't, it's named a little bit different. So what grades or levels do you teach?
So I teach like if so I teach at like age 16 to 18 teenagers. So the main course in England is called GCSEs, and it's basically it's General Certificate of Education. So teenagers at school have pick certain subjects and they have to pass it to get to the next level, essentially. So I teach English language, GCSE, and I teach creative writing to adults as well. So like I have classes of 20 to 25 students and they come in and we look at different texts. I don't teach literature, I teach language. So we're analyzing more about how language is used in those texts rather than analyzing Shakespeare and stuff like that.
So do they read what you write?
Do you know, it's interesting you say that. I've had quite a few students buy my book actually. And it's so funny because they've asked to buy it off me personally, and unfortunately, I can't sell my students anything because that would be classed as bribery. I could lose my job. So I've been like, no, I can't sell it to you because I've got to protect my job. But a few of them have bought my book and bought it to me to sign, which has been quite a proud teacher moment actually, because they're kind of like, wow, I can't believe you've published a book. That's amazing, and they're reading it. And the funny thing is, some of them are under the age of 18. Of course, I've aimed my book at 18 plus, and I write that on Amazon. But at the end of the day, you can't stop a 16-year-old
Yeah.
buying a book of Amazon, can you?
You know, in the United States, it's a smidge different in our university level classes.
Yeah.
A lot of the professors have written their own textbook.
Yeah.
I took one at my local college. I didn't agree with the methodology of his teaching and his his curriculum, and I failed. I mean, I did. I he failed me, but I had did I just did not agree with his writing.
Did you tell
And
him that? Were you quite
it
vocal?
yeah, oh yeah, and he's like, well, you're not going to pass, and I was like, well, I'll take it into another instructor, and I
Are
did.
they allowed to
Uh,
do that?
Obviously, I mean, he had what it's tenure, so it take a stick of dynamite to get him out of the school, but yeah, he was able to do it.
Wow. No, I'm safe to say, Scott, I haven't abused my power yet.
What is the most unsettling thing a reviewer has said in a comment or in a review that you said either, oh, I'm blushing, or
Mm.
you totally got that wrong, or maybe even hurt your feelings.
Do you know what is so funny is that maybe not funny. I'm still waiting for a scathing review, and I think I'm going to be quite hard-skinned about it. Majority of pretty much all of my reviews have been 5 or 4 stars. I got one Amazon review that I found more humorous than anything, and it said, this book is almost identical to pretty much every other crime thriller I've ever read. If you're looking for something a bit adventurous and a bit different to the average crime thriller, this is not the one. But I did enjoy this, and this. So it was a mixed bag. There were some positives. Yeah. And that I found quite ironic, because my whole unique selling point is that it is different to other crime thrillers because it's looking at the kids' upbringing. So that made me laugh. It didn't upset me. I just thought, did you read the book? Because I don't think it is similar to many, but I can't name many books where it looks at the killer's upbringing. So apart from that, Therese, I'm still waiting for a scathing attack on my book.
I did notice it's showing you've got a 4.79 review average right now. So it's really good. And it's on Kindle Unlimited, in case anybody's watching that has Kindle Unlimited. So
it is. And do you know what? I've really been enjoying watching Kindle Unlimited stats. I didn't know anything. I knew about Kindle Unlimited, but I didn't know it was done via, you get your royalties via pages read. And it's quite exciting. And you see who in America's reading it and who in England's reading it via pages. So every day it would say 500 pages read, 200 pages read. And it's quite fun to see the little bar chart going up and down, like over Christmas, because it's such a depressing book. No one was reading it. It's not cheery. It's really heavy. I'm not going to lie. It's a heavy book, and it's got some heavy issues in it, and it's gritty. But it's not a festive thing. And I understand that some people want light literature over Christmas and to have a bit of a break. So yeah, but it's been fun.
Do you find some of the language differences from the Queen's English or the King's English to the American English? Like lorry. It took me forever to realize that was a truck. That, and the boot was the trunk, I believe.
The trunk,
yeah. So it took me a while. I've been reading for a while, but when I first started reading some English British authors, it took me a bit to get some of the language down to know what this meant versus what this meant. So
and I find that I've noticed as well, Scott, some people, I wouldn't personally go this far, but some people in their books have been getting reviews, British people from Americans saying, really enjoyed this book, but the spelling of certain words was wrong. And it's just because it was British English and they were including a U in colour, for example, or, spelling centre with an R-E instead of an E-R, those kind of things. And some people completely missed the point that it was a British author and left a review saying loads of spelling mistakes. So some authors have gone as far to say, please be aware, this is standard British English, like as a disclaimer. But no, I haven't gone to that level at this point.
If the Mannequins were adapted to the big screen, who would you get to play Cora or any other characters? Who would you get?
That is a really good question. I think that's a question I'd like to throw back at you, Teresa. Who could you see playing her? So Cora, for my readers, watchers that are listening. So Cora is a mixed heritage woman. And another reason I decided to write a mixed heritage woman, which of course, again, is a challenge and can come with its, of course, obvious things you need to be aware of. So my wife is Gambian. She grew up in West Africa, and my son is mixed heritage. And I wanted to write a mixed heritage police officer because, again, it fed into this whole prejudices thing. I didn't want my police officer to go down that kind of like overdone trope of battered detective who's got a drinking problem or an alcohol or a drug problem, and all their family have, he's having an affair and this, that, and the other. I wanted to do something a bit different. So I wanted to add that racial prejudice in a sleepy, predominantly white area in Shropshire, and put her in the mix and have some of those prejudices. So that's why I chose to do that. So I'm trying to. I'll have to have a think about which actresses, and I mean Cora, as you know in the book, Teresa, is a very beautiful woman, and she gets a lot of male attention, which is another thing she struggles with. So I need to have a little think of who I would choose. I haven't actually considered that question yet. If anyone comes to mind, Teresa, let me know, because
I know I'll have to think about it too, because I'm terrible at pop culture.
I was thinking of, I have no, I just, I was thinking of like Charlize Theron or somebody like that, but
that could work. How old? I mean, Cora's like coming towards 30. How old is Charlize Theron?
Well, she's a lot older than that, but yeah,
that might be the only issue.
What about
I'll
that
get back to you that one.
The witch in the Wizard of Oz?
Oh yeah,
the new Wizard
of Oz. What's her name? She's fantastic. She could work, and she's a strong character. She's a strong actress. Yeah, I can see that.
There's something very exotic about Cynthia Erivo.
That's it.
Yeah,
I could definitely see her playing that.
So tell us either what you're currently reading, but I'll be real honest with you. The question that I really want to ask is, do you have a book that you secretly have read that you really don't want anybody to know that you read it?
Yeah, I do. I do. And you got to strap in for this one because it is absolutely mental. It is a guilty secret. And okay, so basically, one of my friends writes smut. Yeah. And they put me on to this book. They sent me an Amazon link. Okay. And I saw it and I thought of the title. I thought, this is absolutely crazy. And as a joke, I bought it for as a joke. I sent it to my mate and said, can you believe someone's written a book called this? And I will tell you the title shortly. And he thought it was really funny. A month later, an Amazon package comes to my door. My friends bought it for me as a joke, right? Mm-hmm. The book is called Morning Glory at the Milking Farm, right? And on the picture of the front is a woman half-dressed and a minotaur. And the woman is throwing herself at the minotaur, right? And it's called Morning Glory at the Milking Farm. You may have heard of it. I got this book as Amazon. I didn't order it. That's what I'm telling you. I didn't order it, right? And it was on the side, and it's pure smart. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to read it. I'm going to give it a go and see what this is all about. And I could not believe what this book was about. This book was about, in this utopian, I guess, or dystopian, depends on your perspective. In this utopian world, minotaurs are high-powered businessmen, and they need to be milked for their semen so they can carry on going and working around society. And they have the privilege of being milked by milking maids. And this woman is down on her luck and hasn't got any money, and she goes to work at this milking farm. And she sets about very graphically milking these minotaurs in some of the most unbelievable scenes I've ever read. And then she falls in love with a minotaur, and they have very explicit interspecial sex throughout the whole book. And it absolutely, I've never read anything like it. I go online. This is what blew me away. I go online and type in this book. She has 16,000 reviews. An American lady, name's Nacosta, and she's a paid author from this book. She's got 4 of these books. Wow. And I thought, oh my God, so many people love smut. People are reading this stuff. I thought it would be like a couple of hundred reviews, or even like 50 people have read it. To get 16,000 reviews on Amazon is insane. And it was just pure, utter filth. So was that good as a guilty pleasure?
Yeah, I gave away a book. I don't know. It was a few months ago. I got it in a book box that I forgot to cancel because I don't read that. To each their own. So I thought I'd do a giveaway and just give it away. I had more entries into that contest than any other book that I've ever given away. And I mean, there were hundreds and hundreds of people wanting that book, and it was about a woman having sex with a bull. I mean, that
Was
was
it the
on the
same book?
cover. It was on the cover. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're very popular. I mean, it's crazy.
that's the book. Yeah,
Yeah.
The Milking Farm. That is the one.
Well, no,
Morning Glory.
that wasn't the one that I gave away, but it's very similar. I mean, there's a
So is that a whole
lady.
genre then? Like
Yeah, it bestiality. I mean, it's a big thing.
bestiality?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know about you two.
I didn't read it. But hey, I will admit that I've read the Fourth Wing series and I enjoyed them, you know. So, Teresa, what about you? What have you read?
Yeah, thank
I
you, Scott.
stay in
Teresa,
my
what's your
lane
guilty
pretty good.
pleasure? What is your guilty pleasure,
Yeah,
Teresa?
every once in a while I'll drop out and go to. Now did read the 50 Shades probably when it first came out. I did read
Yeah.
that. But I will drop out every once in a while and pick up a sci-fi alien book like exploring space that's kind of like completely unhinged and I actually end up liking it. I like who knew I liked a space exploration, but I'll drop out and catch a sci-fi every once in a while. I like them.
T- Teresa, your example is so lightweight, you're making me look like a psychopath.
I know. So, kind of the way that I read now is if I can't talk about it to somebody at church, I'm probably not going to read it. So I'm definitely a lightweight now.
Yeah. So what is you talked about earlier that you wrote a whole bunch of genres
Mm,
when when you were in college and
yeah,
you is there a genre other than the crime fiction? I know you said you didn't like the fantasy,
yeah.
that world. Is there, have you ever thought about maybe horror or anything like that? Maybe.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think Scott, after so this Chorus Still is going to be a trilogy because three is just best, isn't it? It's going to be a trilogy, and then I think I'm going to shift focus and do a dystopian. I love dystopian. I mean, The Road, Blindness, Tender as a Flesh, three of my favorite books ever written.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love dystopian. I just think it's an incredible genre. So I'd love to try my hand at some dystopian fiction. Do you read dystopian? Sorry, Teresa.
Uh, I do. I like it.
Yeah.
I like
I like it.
dystopian.
I enjoy it.
Bit of Cormac McCarthy. I know it's depressing, but it's good stuff.
That book will make you cry for a long time. You're not coming up for air after that one. That's
That,
a tough one.
Teresa, that's a good way of putting that book. Suffocated me. That was
Yeah.
The Road. Like, I read a review. The best review I read on The Road is said, this book is best read in one sitting. I thought, Jesus Christ, I couldn't do that.
Have you read I think there's 5 books altogether. It's 1 second after, 3 seconds after. It's William Forsythe, I think is what it is. I'll look real quick. That will
No.
wreck you.
Okay, thanks for the recommendation. I'll definitely haven't read it. I
Yep.
heard of William Forsythe, but I haven't read his stuff.
Yep. It's 1 second after. It goes 1 second after, 1 year after, the final day, 48, and 5 years. Now I couldn't make it past the second book. I cried too much. But it is
Okay.
because it is so possible. There's an EMP that explode that and it starts, and it is so realistically possible that that's a tough one. But it's good. I mean, it's really good.
It
The
sounds
one,
right up my street.
Yeah.
Swan Song by McCammon, it's a dystopian horror, kind of the same situation that she talks about. There's a bomb or a nuclear attack, and it's about the rebuilding, and it was really good. It's very similar to The Stand. It came out before The Stand, but it was really really good, and it's a honker too. It's like 1,100 pages.
That is a big book. But then again, The Stand also a big book, and that was
Yeah,
brilliant. So
yeah.
I'll give it a go.
When is the next? So you said you're getting close. When are we to expect the next Cora book? And can you tell us what the name will be?
I can tell you the name. It's called Willow Farm. And so what's been really lovely, Therese, is I took 4 years creating this world for Cora Still, but now I'm writing a sequel. It is flying out of me. I've nearly completed this book in 2 years. So I've half that time. And as I write more novels, I want to get that time further and further down. But at the same time, I've got a 3-year-old. I'm married. I've got a full-time job. I've got another child on the way next month. So trying to craft out hours to write has been difficult. But with this book, I've been so much quicker. It's been lovely. So I'm 68,000 words in, and I reckon this book will be about 90,000 words, a bit longer. The Mannequins was 85, but 90 to 95,000 words. And then what I'm going to do for this book, which I didn't do for the Mannequins because I was new to the indie publishing world, is I want to get involved with beta readers. Because I only use ARC readers, and I know they're very different things, and the ARC response was brilliant. But I want to get hold of a few trusted beta readers that can help me in that first draft.
So tell us how to get a hold of them.
Handles and all the social media stuff.
Yeah, wonderful. So you can type in.
We can all get a hold of you.
Absolutely. So I'm on TikTok and Instagram, and it's Toms-Arbel. That's Tomsarbel. Luckily, there's only one of me. Not in the world, but there's only one of me as an author. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. My book you can buy off Amazon. You can also buy in America on Barnes & Noble online and major online American outlets. And you can also, not going to be great for America, but if anyone's listening in Europe, you can buy from my website. I can ship it to you personally.
Well, we appreciate you coming on here, and I am looking forward to the next book. I will be a fangirl, so it is. And I thank you for bringing us some genuinely unsettling crime fiction. It's really worth reading. And so to anybody who hasn't read this, it's available on Kindle Unlimited. You can pick it up. If somebody needs the link, send me a message. I will make sure that you get the link directly sent to you, because this one is definitely worth reading.
Yeah, thank you very much. I've actually really enjoyed coming on and speaking to you both. You've been really friendly and warm and approachable. And yeah, it's been a really fun podcast. So thank you for having me on. And when the second one comes out, I'll come back on and tell you all about that.
I'll be ready.
Sounds good.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.